I absolutely love the Porsche Panamera. Some people look at it and think it's ugly, but when I see this, I just see one of the best looking cars on the road today. I think it's fine. I love the weird, bug-eyed, Botox gone wrong face. I love the long body, the back end. Reminds me of onions, just makes me want to cry. I love the power, the aggression. I love the f they made a hybrid. Yeah, they made a hybrid. I don't get it, man. The Panamera is not for vegans. It's a big luxury brute. It hates vegans. No offense to vegans. I'm just saying that this is the kind of car that sticks two fingers up to everyone and says, you're gonna love me. And if you don't, well then suck my dick. Making it all nice for the environment, it's just a travesty. Do it to the Cayenne. Do it to the Boxster. Don't do it to the big dog. Okay, so the idea behind the Panamera S e-hybrid was to make a car with the same power and performance as a petrol Panamera S, but one which was also cleaner, cheaper to run, and more efficient. So it has the same 3-litre V6 engine up front, but here it's on Valium. It's only got one supercharger instead of two, so it makes 333 horsepower, which is about 90 less. But it also has a battery-powered electric motor, which can chip in with an extra 95 horses. So power is more or less the same. And that would be great, but this, the hybrid, is heavy, nearly 300 kilos heavier than the standard car. That's like carrying around 3 of me constantly. And I don't care how you spin it, that cannot be a good thing. 1 of me's bad enough, but 3, that's just asking for trouble. Let me talk you through how it's supposed to work. When the batteries are fully charged, this thing will drive around on electric power only as long as you keep that efficiency needle in the green zone and you keep it below about 40 miles an hour. Or you can press the e-power button down here on the center console and that will keep you in electric only mode as long as you don't floor it, and that's good for about 10 to 15 miles. Around town in normal mode, the first 10 miles or so is purely electric. At one point I saw 200 miles per gallon flash up on the screen. Normally though, you'll probably get between 100 and 150 if you drive it like a vegan. Once the battery goes low, then you're in trouble. You'll never run out of range because you also have the backup of a petrol engine. But once it's dead, you're essentially carrying dead weight. I'm oversimplifying things just a little bit, but at one point I saw my MPG drop from about 100 down to 30 miles per gallon in the space of a 20-minute journey. A few times I started my journey with a completely dead battery, just driving around town, and I kid you not, I saw my MPG drop to below 20 miles per gallon. At one point, I saw 17. That's worse than a non-hybrid. That's worse than a monster truck. I'll put it in very basic terms. Sometimes this car is very good to Mother Nature. Other times, it will just as happily beat her to death. The hybrid powertrain affects the way the car drives as well, for good and bad. Remember I told you it was heavy, right? Now that affects the brakes. They feel seriously weird. They're good and strong and they'll stop the car eventually, but sometimes it can feel like you're trying to stop a rhino with a dog lead. The worst part is the way the pedal feels. It's unlike anything I've experienced before. You press the pedal just a little bit, and about a second later, they grab. I'm sure that's not the actual brake holding onto the disc, but rather the regenerative braking system kicking in. But it's just seriously strange. The feel just isn't quite right. You get used to it after a while, but for the first day or so driving this car, it just feels like nothing else. Then of course, there's the handling. The normal Panamera S is actually really good. It feels great, but because of the extra 300 kilos you're carrying, things can get a little bit interesting. Let's say, for example, you're tanking along and you're approaching a roundabout. You hit the brakes and the brakes are like, huh? Eventually they slow the car down, but then because you're carrying the extra 300 kilos, there's so much inertia going on. And whereas a normal Panamera would just literally glide around the corner like nobody's business, this thing just feels a little bit heavy. It can be quite disconcerting. It's never dangerous, but let's just say it concentrates the mind. I'm probably making it sound like the Porsche Panamera SE hybrid is a bit rubbish, but that's far from the truth. It's not rubbish at all, it's just different. Now that I've spent a little bit of time inside the car and got used to it and understood the way it works and how to get the best out of it, I think it's actually a really, really cool car. First of all, it just feels lovely. Every time you get inside it, you feel as if you've come home. It feels wonderful. The interior is so well laid out. There are so many buttons on the center console, probably too many. Feels a bit like Darth Vader's bathroom in here. There's switches galore, up here on the ceiling, down here on the center console. I'll talk you through some of my favorites. There's a button that lets you deploy the active spoiler. You can raise it up or down to show off to your friends. Then there's a button to raise or lower the suspension. You can have it higher up so you can feel more comfortable as you drive along, or lower so you get a more sporty drive. And speaking of sporting, there's Sport and Sport Plus buttons. Sport makes the throttle response a little bit sharper, the steering a little bit more responsive, and it turns the suspension into the first notch of its performance mode. Sport Plus takes things a little bit further. Everything just feels that little bit more responsive and agile. Push it hard and it will definitely reward you. 0 to 60 is in 5.5 seconds and it will top out at 167 miles an hour. But you don't have to drive it fast to get the most out of this car. It will actually reward you if you drive it slowly. Driving in a traffic jam is actually a genuinely rewarding experience because it's so luxurious. The way it pulls away in complete silence on battery power just makes all your worries melt away. There's no stress whatsoever. Also, cutting through back streets is just again so rewarding because it carries so much momentum over speed bumps and irons out every imperfection in the road. It really is like driving on a magic carpet or a yacht. I didn't think I'd like the hybrid, but having spent a little bit of time with it, I guess maybe I'm a little bit vegan too. On the surface, a hybrid Panamera makes no sense. It seems like a watered down version of a car that shouldn't have been watered down. But the Panamera has always been about contradictions. So ultimately a hybrid, as strange as it seems at first, is a welcome addition to the family. It's not perfect. It's only ever going to be economical if you bother to recharge it every single day. And if you don't, then you might as well not bother. But whether you do or not, it's fantastically rewarding to drive. Relaxing, exciting, fast, and with the Panamera spirit. The one that says, love me, or kiss my ass. Yes, this feels right. Definitely. All right, let me tell you about the engine.